So as there's no time like the present, I decided to go ahead and sand the floor now. I've just done a single pass with 220 grit. Basically, I just fashioned a sanding block out of this little paintbrush holder. This isn't even the worst of the dust. All that down there. And when I was cleaning this off, consider that this is all black enamel toxic dust that's getting thrown into the air, even though a lot of it stays where it is. And that's the reminder: dust masks and gloves. You don't even want to see the sink after I just washed my hands from this. Always. That's why these are right here, nice and close, ready for use. So I'll get the camera set up so I can record some of the next phase. This is pretty good, but I'm going to do one more pass in like 600 wet. This was dry sanded, and it got a lot of the surface deformity down. The 600 should fix everything at long last. And just one example of how off the height is. So this is after a fairly severe sanding, and you can see how bright white this corner is here. But then this inner corner is just really nice, and you can see that on the inside corner here there's just a little bit of gloss left from the top coat. So that has not been sanded. However, that's immediately behind a wall, so I'm not too worried about it. And even though this looks like a seam right here, I think I've finally got it sanded flat enough that it's not going to be visible. So what I'll be doing with that is putting the primer over it once we do one more sanding coat. I managed to keep the line over here pretty tight and in good shape overall. I was worried about sanding that away. You might be able to see just in this area here there's a couple spots I didn't quite sand as evenly as I could have, so I'll do another pass on that. And then I didn't want to get too close to these details here just to have to recreate them. Though I did go and sand on this side just a little too much, but there is some texture in the paint there that I definitely don't like. Let's see if I can get that. Yeah, look at all that crappy texture in there. So that's all got to be sanded away. Nice and smooth like all of this over here. So in this case I just used some wet tissue to wipe this down. And keep in mind I do have electronics here. It is okay for this to get mildly wet now and then. The bad things happen when you power it up and it's wet. Then you'll get all sorts of shorts and crap like that and ruin everything and have to redo it all. It's the water that catalyzes. So even if this is soaking wet in a tub for a day, as long as it's pure bone dry later when you run electricity through it, you are all set. Theoretically. Don't go getting your electronics wet in the first place. But if they do, don't sweat it too badly. So yeah, there's a little more sanding to do. I should probably give it another pass with the 220, I think. Mostly in this middle area right in there, definitely. Probably right in that central area there. This is all pretty good in here, I think. But yeah, right in there. Right in there. Right in there. A little bit in there too. Anywhere else? Maybe in here. So here's me in the dust mask. And definitely in the gloves. I happen to pull out a sheet of 400, so I'm just going to glue that down here, go and wet it a little, and start sanding. So all I've done is run this under the bathroom sink real quick, and because of all this stuff underneath here, I've got to be careful. I loosened up this guy here. There we go. Let's take that off. So what I'm trying to do is balance this at one end. Just kind of support it in the middle as well. I should probably go and get a full supply of water now that I'm looking at it. So what I've just done is I did the pass with the 400, got it nice and smooth. I just washed it down, dried it with the heat dryer, and put on a coat of primer. So I'm going to let that dry for at least an hour, take a look at it. It looks like it came out pretty good. It had already started drying in the light. So I think I got a really nice even coat. Take a look at that, maybe sand that down, probably go for a second coat, sand that down, a third coat, and then finally a top white for the base color of tan or sand or whatever that's going to be. So I'll see you in the next episode.